It is fall cleanup time. We have been working on the farm, just cleaning up as much as we can, little bit by little bit. Every day we're doing something. The days are still warm and we are so blessed by that. We haven't had a hard freeze yet, and it is the beginning of November. We've had a patchy freeze here and there, but we're still able to harvest. We're still able to just walk among the flowers and enjoy the beauty of our gardens. But we know it's coming to an end, and so we're taking every step, all those measures to clean it up, because there's something so wonderful about having a garden put to bed and then having that fresh start in the spring. So today we're cleaning up the greenhouse, and this greenhouse was an emotional saving grace when everything shut down in March. It was the beginning of our planting season, and we spent many days in here just planting in the warmth and not thinking about what was happening in the world. It was just kind of our safe place. And so that's what we're doing now. We're gonna plant it. We have this big ginormous weed, I think it's ragweed, that took over my chair where I would sit, and Brooke won't let me cut it because it's holding up his tomato plant. So we have tomatoes that we're harvesting, and we're gonna try to keep this going into as late winter as we can. Now, this greenhouse isn't heated with any heat source except for the hand-dug well. And so we have a hand-dug well underneath here, which is a beautiful part of our property. Our property dates back to 1796, I believe. And it's just awesome knowing that someone hand-dug that. That foundation is here. It's what waters our entire property. And so we have a fan hooked up to that, so it brings up the ground air. So on really cold days, it does get really cold in here. So we want to plant this so that it starts to germinate and starts to take off. So that way in December, January, and February, we can still be harvesting lettuce and maybe even some green onions, and maybe even some tomatoes. So we'll see how long they last. We're going to sweep up. We're going to make it our place of just rest and peace for the winter. Let's get started. We built this greenhouse 3 springs ago, I believe, and it was just in a let's get her done kind of mode. We have dreams and visions of building a really big greenhouse out back where the sun hits, a big greenhouse where we can grow beds and beds of lettuce and be able to have a little sitting area in there, maybe even heat it with a wood stove. That in the wintertime we can go out there and just find reprieve in the cold and watch the snow fall around us. But for the time being, we knew we had to get this done. We knew we wanted to extend the growing season and provide for our family. So Brooke took this old well house apart. It was just slats. It was open, and he took the white wood pieces apart and recreated this structure, which was here. And we wrapped it in plastic, built these shelves. He did the majority of the work, and now it's a place where we can just grow more food and enjoy it in the colder seasons, extend the growing season. Some things that I do keep on my shelf, my potting shelf. Brooke put this in here for me. He actually built this when we were first married, and I would just put some pots on it at our old place, and it was actually sitting in the barn, and I said, let's just burn it. And he was like, no, I have a perfect spot for it. So he moved it in here. It's our potting shelf right now. So up here I keep Epsom salts, because that's great to add to tomato plants. So I have a lot of things in here that I would use in the garden and also in the greenhouse. Those little potting pots. Diatomaceous earth, this is great. I don't use it in my, well, I do use it in my garden to keep pests away and to keep bugs off of, plants. But I really use it for the chicken coop. We'll keep it in the, we put it in the chicken coop when we clean it out, just to help with odors and to help with pests. And so I'll keep that in here on my shelf, and obviously pots. And I've tucked away all the pots that I've cleaned out for the season already. They stay underneath here as decoration, but also as like a safe little spot. And yeah, and a big pot of potting mix that, I mean, we really only use in the springtime, but every now and then we'll dig our hands into it. So let's get to planting. We're gonna break this soil apart. I'm just gonna plant the upper bed today. The lower bed has saffron growing. We have some saffron bulbs in here, and I don't wanna disturb that. So I'm gonna plant the upper bed. We're gonna add some nutrients to it. I got some organic soil, and I'm gonna throw some peat moss in here and maybe even some dried manure if I can find some on the property. When you're using manure, you always wanna use dried manure because it should be dried for preferably up to a year, because you don't want any of those bacteria or anything that, you know, any poop touching your food really. So we're gonna find some dried manure. So that's what we're gonna do here. And we're gonna plant some lettuce and some arugula. I need to get better with my organizing of my seeds. How do you all organize your seeds? I feel like every year we try. Maybe this winter we'll go through them. But I have an obsession with lettuce and tomatoes. So I have a lot of different, obviously, look, this is not good. Definitely need to organize a little bit better. But I have a lot of different lettuce seeds that we have gotten various places. Roar Seeds is local here in Lancaster County. Going to their seed store is like a child in a candy store. You have to go with a list. So if you're dreaming this winter and you're thinking of your garden and you're creating your list, and if you are local in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, look up Roar Seeds and plan a trip in March when they open up. The other ones that I've gotten, so Roar Seeds does carry a lot of organic. They carry Baker Creek, Southern Seed Exchange. What are some of the other ones? Some of the popular organic companies. Then they also have their own line. So I have a bunch from Southern Exposure Seed Exchange. So some Butter Crunch, some romaine, some Bib lettuce. Oh, those don't belong in there. See, that's a cucumber. That doesn't belong in there. What else do I have? Oh, I have some spinach as well. I probably won't plant spinach in there. It doesn't do very well in the greenhouse. But then I have some beautiful mixes as well. And I think I might even try planting some basil to see if I can get some fresh basil, you know, to add to some culinary dishes. And I even have some dill in here, I think. So we're gonna try some herbs. What else did I have? I know I had something else. There's dill and, oh, arugula. Arugula is awesome. In the winter months, it has this spicy kick that you can just add on top of eggs, or just add to any culinary dish just to add a little bit of depth of flavor. And then these onions. I think I'm gonna try to grow some little spring onions in here and see how that works. So now that the greenhouse is planted, there's just 2 more things I wanna get in the garden before we can't be out here anymore. So this front kitchen garden was our spring project when everything shut down. We were in the greenhouse and we created this kitchen garden that I had envisioned for a couple years, of looking out my front window, having herbs and medicinal herbs and things that I could quickly grab while I was making dinner. You know, tomatoes and cucumbers and even some squash and some herbs, of course. But it's missing one thing. It's missing tulips. So I envision just this French country kitchen garden that in the spring, early spring, after the snow is melted and we're so longing for warmer days and the beauty of color, I envision beautiful tulips popping up all along the border rock. And so that's what we're gonna plant today. And we're also, I wanna try to get these in the ground too. This is something brand new to me, sunchokes. I was thinking when my friend Jo gave me these, I thought when she said sunchokes or sun artichokes, that they were gonna be artichokes. But they look like ginger. Brand new to me, I'm not quite sure. She said they spread and they're hard to dig up. So I'm gonna plant a few in here but you dig up the root, you plant the root just like you would ginger or any other root vegetable. And next year, they're gonna start to blossom and bloom, but the root is really what you eat. So they taste kind of like a potato. You can cook them like a potato. That's all I know. But we're gonna get these in the ground before it frosts and before it freezes, because now's the time to do it. So those are the two things that I need to do yet, just to kind of tighten down this area. It's the next thing on the list.